What is going on, my homies? Welcome to another installment of the hunt for the perfect bass boat. I got the Green Machine right behind me, and this is actually a boat that I'm super interested in. If you guys watch the old school videos, which I think a lot of the new subscribers don't know about, if you go way back, I am like a rental John boat, like to a tin boat, to another tin boat kind of guy. It's always been about getting on the water in an affordable manner, but what I try to do with the boats that I've had is I try to pimp them out, like take them tin boat and make it more pimp than like a pro boat on tour kind of thing. And the reason I am so interested in this is a Z20, a Nitro Z20, and we'll talk more about it. It's my buddy's boat, Alan over there. He's an absolute stick out on Gunnersville, fishes a lot of the weekend tournaments. He actually cleaned up all this past summer out there. But the reason I'm so interested in this is the boat is solid. It's one of your lower price point boats, which we'll talk about, but it's a decent layout, like very kind of new school layout. It's a good base, but it's cheaper, so it allows you a lot of opportunities to do a lot of those upgrades, whether it's electronics, trolling motor, power pole. You get kind of a little bit of space when it comes to cash, because I don't got a bunch of cash. This will be my first new boat that I've ever purchased. So I got to be price point conscious. I got to think about those things, because I want the boat to fish as much as I want the boat to be like a super cool boat, you know? So let's go and talk to Alan, kind of get some feedback, reviews, and walk through the storage, how he's got this thing laid out, and learn a little bit more about the Nitro Z20. So first off, before we get into it, I'm going to introduce my buddy. This is Alan. Where can they find you on social media, dude?
The Fish Marshal on Instagram.
The Fish Marshal on Instagram. He's a hammer, dude, and he's super chill and super subtle, but he catches them. So let's start with the outside of this thing. This is a Nitro Z20, which is, how long, do you know how big of a boat it is? The specs on it? I think it's like 20.
It's 22.
20 foot 2.
20 foot 2, yeah.
20 foot 2. Okay, do you know what the beam is on it?
The beam's 95.
95-inch beam. So one thing that I immediately wonder about, as we kind of premised the video on, this is a little bit, I want to call it economy. It isn't like a cheap boat, but it's more of an economy boat. I think that's a fair way to describe it. The hull is probably the most defining thing on the boat, you know? So it's an economy boat, but can the hull stand up to kind of, I don't know, the rigors of fishing? What features does it offer that might not say economy, that might say a little bit higher end?
Well, the big one is the NVT hull. If you want to look right here, if you look down the edge of it, you can see that the strakes are kind of, they're cupped. And what the cupping does is it allows you to, turn sharp, and it catches and it just bites. And I mean, you gotta be careful, because if you turn too sharp, it'll just throw you out of the boat, because it's not gonna break loose.
So if I'm in a hard, like we're actually at Wheeler right now, and this is Ditto Landing, so we're gonna go out here and we're gonna kind of hook a turn. Yeah. You're saying, so when we kick up on pad, that butt of the boat isn't gonna kick out as hard. It's gonna grab that water, and we're gonna be able to make that hard kind of left-hand turn.
Oh yeah, it'll catch. I mean, it's not going to move at all. It's a very stable boat.
Does that reduce chine walk as well? Do you get any kind of like chine when you're up? Well, what's your top speed on here?
Well, top speed with me and all my gear is about 74.
And that's with a 250 Pro XS, 4-stroke? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get some play, or is it pretty...
Most people don't have some play, but it just depends on, if you take some time and, weight your boat out correctly, and not have all your weight on one side, because that you really, it's all about, balance, right?
Yep.
So I have a little bit of movement, but nothing that just a little hand movement.
Probably nothing like my old Triton. My old 19-foot Triton that I had, dude, that thing, even at like 64, 65, she would start doing this. And I know you're supposed to drive it out of it, but it used to scare me. So hull-wise, we kind of have a modified hull. It's a little bit interesting, and does it pop up pretty quick? That's actually another question.
Oh yeah, out of the hole is just a couple of seconds.
Well, you know what, let's jump back to the back end, because one thing I'm always curious about is how these guys have kind of the rear end set up. So you do have a jack plate on here, but it's not a hydraulic jack plate, or it is?
It's not.
It's not. Mm-mm. Is there a reason you didn't go with the hydraulic jack plate?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't travel to a lot of lakes that, require, you to raise your motor up for, to get on plane.
Okay.
I don't really fish a lot of shallow water. If I started traveling more, like down to Florida and stuff, then I would probably put on the bobs or something.
So you have this thing set, is this like a factory recommendation of how high you have it set, or how do you have it set, since it's kind of a one-time deal?
Well, it came from the factory about 3/8 of an inch higher.
Okay.
And I lowered it down a little bit just to kind of smooth out my top end.
Okay.
Keep me from having to fight it.
Okay, so, and it's also, I guess we can take a look, it's set back a little bit. This is the True 50 Pro XS. Is this the stock prop that came with the boat as well?
Yeah, it is. It's just a stock 24 pitch Fury. And, you know, I haven't had any issues or no, I mean, I could dial it in even more, but the way it runs, I'm just happy with it.
The one other thing that I'm going to throw on there, and I'm going to give credit to you, Alan, he did a custom paint job on this boat, and I don't know about you guys, but I think that thing looks pimp, dude. You got the green pinstripe on the trailer, you got kind of a black. I don't think there's any metal flake in there. It's just straight colors. And what is that something that's an add-on thing? Do you know how much that costs about?
It's $500.
$500,
yeah.
But you can totally do it custom all on your own.
Oh yeah, you have all kinds of colors to choose from. It's $500 no matter what.
To make it a little different, we're going to start in the middle of the boat because there's one feature on this guy that I really like. And Alan, you can tell me about it. I see your net is sort of strapped down right here behind the seats. And me personally, my net oftentimes my truck's right over there, it sits in the back of the truck because it takes up a bunch of space in the boat. So along with the cameras, the rods that I got, the dog and all that, I have no place to put the thing, which has at some points cost me. Is this a standard feature, and does it actually work?
This is a standard feature. Actually, I don't even have to strap it in. It's going to stay.
And it's just wedged, I guess you can kind of see it's kind of just wedged back there. There's a slot for it basically, right?
Yeah. I mean, it has Velcro to hold it, you know, if you're running or like going down the road or something. But I leave it loose. I've never had it come up. And it's always just right there. You know, you don't have to get into a compartment or anything like that. And
you just run back, and I mean, you pull one strap or you pull the strap while you're fishing, and it's ready and loose, but it stays kind of wedged back there. The other thing too is I'm not big into dual console boats because oftentimes, actually, I'd say 90% of the time, I'm fishing alone. Thank God I'm fishing with Alan today for a little bit, and he has a secondary console because it's blowing and it's a little bit chilly out. But you were telling me this is sort of optional, but not an optional in the way that you think about it, like either get it or don't get it.
Right, yeah, that's definitely not the case. This is, you know, I'm just like you. This is usually off of my boat because it's just in the way for me. But when it's winter and it gets cold and you got friends coming, you can just put it in here in like 2 minutes and it's there.
It's that quick?
Yeah.
So you just like unscrew a couple screws and it pops out basically?
Yeah, it's 3 big hand screws. You can look under there and see, but it's just 3 big screws, super easy.
And I noticed too, there's a co-angler rod storage deal right there. Is that something that comes standard?
It is.
It is. Dude, that's nice. So you got your rod storage. Oh, and I see the little hand things. They're those big metal things right there, right? So those are the big things that you just unscrew so you don't need any tools, and you can just pop that console up. So let's slide into the front of the boat. I want to know about the storage because that's one of the biggest reasons I'm looking at a bigger boat is I run with gear to fish everywhere, whether it's the TVA, Lanier, Smith, Florida, and I want to expand that radius. So I carry a ton of bleep with me, like a ton, dude. So I want to make sure I can store it. Why don't you crack one of these jokers open and show me kind of what kind of space you got and how it lays out. So I see you got 2 hand pulls actually on there.
Yep.
So it's basically, so you have modifiable tray spaces, so you can set them up for different size boxes.
Yeah, it's actually sorry it's so dirty, but it's a lot like the Triton, right? It's the same pretty much layout. You got your center compartments for all your for all your boxes, and you got the two side rails where you can put in boxes here,
trays,
and the 2 cup holders for like dyes and sprays and whatnot.
That's pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. You know, the one thing though that I'm going to be critical that I don't like is that so the box ends there. So you're actually losing kind of that space that's up there because there's no rod storage aspect to it or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, so they do cut it off. I know on my Triton it kind of goes up under the deck, and you know, you don't put things that you want easily accessible up there, but you can wedge some life jackets up there. You know, you can wedge some stuff up there that doesn't always come out. So that is one thing that I'll note that's in my head that I kind of don't like, but there is that sort of storage organization aspect because I got about 40 of these that I like to put in my boat. Yeah. How do these rod lockers look though? Like what kind of length can you store like an 8-foot flipping rod in them and stuff like that?
8 foot easy. I've got 8 foots in here.
Okay. Oh, they're big.
Yeah.
And they have stair steps. So you have stair steps as well as drop holes where you can put them. And then there's actually also a guided kind of like hole system right down there. You can see his rods going into it. Interestingly enough, I'd probably actually take that little rod guide hold out, because I've used those, what are they called? Those rod sleeve things. And if you take that system out on the back end, you can actually store a lot more rods. Just a little tip in almost any boat. So let's scooch on back here and take a look. So you have your little glove compartment right in the middle here.
Yep.
That's super useful. Nice. It's divided too, especially with all like the little thing.
Another thing is
no.
You can actually access your
fuel
pump. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's a big deal right there, because like literally you normally have to like cut into the boat in order to get to that. That's actually really, really cool.
Yeah, that's super convenient.
So then that latch is closed, and then let's take a look at this cockpit. And these seats are super nice, dude. Are these seats as comfortable as they look?
Oh yeah.
Well, sit down and show me the place, dude. What do you got all right here?
All right. Well, so I've got all the touch controls for the nav lights, for the bilge, and for the 2 live wells that I have back here.
Is that standard? The touch screen control?
It is. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. No toggles, no rusting, no anything like that.
Yeah. I do see you have a key, but does the key and then you do the power button, or how does the boat actually start?
Well, the boat will start, without power. The main reason why you have your power button here is to turn on the electronics that could constantly draw power.
Oh, that's a master power switch?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. So it isn't like a touch button start. I'm not a big fan of the touch button starts. I kind of like the old school.
No, yeah,
key.
I mean, even with the power off, I can turn on the units because they're not constant draw, if the power's on.
You don't have the jack plate, so you have your blinker tilt trim, but not one on the other side. How's the steering? It's obviously hydraulic steering.
It's hydraulic, yeah. I mean,
so it's pretty comfortable, pretty stable.
One finger.
One finger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Practically cruise control. And then you also have double graphs up here, and this is something that I'd be doing. What kind of graph mount is that?
Well, that's the Pro size. It's the Deckit.
Okay.
Yeah, and I haven't had any issues. I mean, it's solid as a rock.
How is installation?
I didn't do it.
You didn't? Okay. That is the easiest way to install something. Yeah. One thing actually I didn't mention either is you have a glove box right here as well for more storage with that console. So you have a lot of places through here to store. And Alan, one thing that you were talking to me about, and we ran into this, I forget if it was on Jacob's boat on the Triton, but I was tripping over Jacob's tools and having an issue while I was standing with 2 people on deck, and I sort of trip over his tools. You mentioned how this is set up with the tools where it's super fluid and you don't have that issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice because I'm not constantly kicking tools or knocking tools or one other thing is though, if I'm fishing a tournament and I have a friend with me, a lot of times they'll run up with the net coming up.
Yeah.
And that's just one,
especially for
one
you,
less thing
because you're catching
on,
bigs, dude. But it's kind of nice. He's got multiple tool areas, plus he's got the cup holders, which half the time you don't even use them for cups. You throw your scattered baits on, and then this is the cooler, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So that's a big cooler.
Yeah,
dude.
The cool thing is you got trash and you got a cooler, and this is actually a roto-molded insulated cooler like a Yeti.
Are we gonna be drinking anything with this?
But you can throw ice in here and it'll be ice for days.
Really?
Yeah,
so
for
that's
days, like a Yeti.
I love this idea, dude, because I literally use my live well as a garbage can. You can like pull that thing out, dump your stuff out, keep your fishing line in there. Because that was one thing. I'm not a super crazy environmentalist, dude, but like, don't throw your garbage in the water. Like, your fishing line in that, it needs to be stowed away because it blows out of the boat. So let's move finally to the back of the boat, which is right here. I'm gonna throw one critique on it right off the bat, and it's not because I hate co-anglers. It's just because if it's my boat, I want to have all the space in the world. The co-angler deck back here is gigantic. Like, you can see me back here. There is a lot of space. It's a 2-step back and forth. But the one nice thing that leads to is, can we go in one of these boxes real quick? These boxes are absolutely gigantic. Like, huge storage boxes, dude. And am I right when I say you can lift them out too?
Yep.
That is sweet. And then it's a lot easier to wire stuff. 2 struggles that I have had. One, snaking wires, especially when you get on bigger boats and you got a lot of wires running through that gunnel. This will improve that because I do a lot of my own personal rigging and wiring.
Thank you.
And see, somebody just drove by and they said this is a beautiful boat while we're shooting the video. Nice, dude. That's pretty good. But the other thing is too, cleaning the bottoms of those bins after I put plastics in them, maybe some oil drips out in that. It's really annoying taking a hose and putting it in the boat because then it drains through the boat. Your boat's always wet at the bottom. If you're able to pull those bins out and actually wash them individually, you can use like a lot more soap, a lot more solvents and stuff to kind of get that stuff out, get them super clean, get them looking good. I like that. And accessibility to wires, that's a huge deal. So Alan, you do a lot of tournament fishing. You mentioned we need to talk about the live wells. I don't tournament fish, but I do put an occasional 10-pounder in the well for holding up for the videos. So show me these and tell me a little bit about them.
All right, well, the first thing is you have Anti-Slosh, right?
Okay.
So you've got these wings that come out, and what that does is that reduces any sloshing that might start like if you're running in hot water, or heavy water or something like that. But again, it's roto-molded and insulated. So if you put ice in here and cool your water down, like if it's the middle of the summer and the water is 95 degrees, and you cool it down to 80 degrees, it's going to stay 80 for longer, which reduces fish mortality.
Well, and it also reduces I used to have to bring like 10 frozen Gatorade bottles to get through like an 8-hour day, dude. Like you'd be dropping them in if you forgot, those fish would pay, dude. So you're dropping them in every hour. So the less you have to do that, the less garbage you have to bring, and actually the more stable environment it creates for the fish, which keeps them alive more. That is pretty cool. They're pretty deep. They're pretty wide, so these are not connected live wells, though. They're separated live wells by like a hard, unremovable kind of deal. That's pretty cool, though. And then that's actually a really smart place to put your, wow, I'm so weak. So you got your calling beam right there, your magic rule, so you can kind of pull it out, measure fish, and drop it right back in. That is pretty sweet. So the last thing I want to get to is what I'm sitting on right here. I want to see kind of how you have your batteries and all your wiring laid out, because I do a lot of custom stuff on my boat, and part of the deal is you need to have a lot of space.
There's plenty of space.
There is plenty of space, because I was worried. I've actually looked at this guy online because it is one boat that I'm a little more interested in because of the price point and because I can do all the fancy stuff on it but still get that haul in an affordable price point. I noticed though that the motor well, I guess you'd call it, does not extend all the way out to the sort of the gunnel on the boat. So oftentimes I struggle on my Triton with accessibility back over here. But this is so deep and so wide that there's a bunch of space. So show me how you have it kind of rigged out here.
The batteries are spread out in such a way so it balances the boat, right?
Okay.
So, so you don't have to worry about that. The power pole, things are right here in this corner and over there in that corner.
Okay.
And the battery charger is a Noco Genius.
Okay.
It's over here on the wall. And the other thing is that I really like is you can just lift this up and you have access
to all your live well pumps and bilge pumps.
Yeah.
So a couple things. The Noco Genius, I'm familiar with their jumper. They were one of the first ones to make that lithium jumper setup, but I didn't know that they made actual battery chargers. I've had Minn Kotas, I've had Dual Pros. How do you feel about the Noco?
Well, I haven't had any issues out of it. Right?
Okay.
I mean, if it works, I don't really care what it is.
The other thing I wanted to ask about, because I have been trolling these things online, did you get the jump starter thing?
I did not.
You did not. Okay, so basically your switch right there is a master power on, and then you have your trolling motor switch, but there's no jump or anything. Have you ever killed your batteries with running all electronics?
Never.
Really?
Never.
And these are 31 size?
I believe they're 37s.
Oh, so they're the big, because you can fit them in here.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've been struggling with, and we're going to do a walkthrough of my Triton. I have a lot of power management fear. Even though I'm running the lithiums, I have a small 26 size cranking battery, and it by no means can handle all the graphs that I'm running. And Alan actually has a very comparable setup to like I do. 2 graphs on the dash, 2 graphs on the bow. He's got Mega 360, is it?
Yep.
He's got the Hummingbird setup. That draws a lot of juice, and oftentimes it leads to dead batteries if you fish for elongated periods of time without cranking up the boat. So that is interesting to know that I might not actually need like a jump starter kit, because I'm always scared of running out of power. Alan, this is a really sweet boat, dude. I was a little bit wondering about the quality, I guess you could say, with the Nitro, but at the same time, as long as the boat floats and does a decent job of popping up on pad, like you called it, what's the planing, rapid planing system?
NVT,
rapid planing system. So it has a decent hull on it. You can put the Mercury on the back, which is super reliable, as we know, and this thing looks super pretty, dude. Like the way the custom color has, like, kind of makes it pop. But it's set up really nice, a lot of electronics, a lot of room to sort of mod too with all the spaciousness behind the thing. I like it. Thank you for the walkthrough, dude. This one's definitely going to sit on my mind for a bit. If you guys want to check out Alan, where can they find you on social media?
Instagram, The Fish Marshal.
He is a subtle hammer, dude. Go watch him. He cleans up on the Browns tournaments out on Gunnersville, all of that. Like he's a good dude, super straightforward, super down to earth. But let me know if you guys got any questions or comments, or go ask Alan. He knows a lot more about the boat than I do. But this is definitely something that's on my list to think about. Let me know what you guys think, and hopefully you'll see us back out on the water, or maybe we'll catch some fish today and shoot a video. Oh, that's a little better one. Not giant, but, and kind of slide down, and the moment it hits, it goes. Nice. Otherwise, we'll see you back out on the water or going through another one of these beautiful bass rigs.